And when considering creating and revising policies, employers are going to want to look at policies such as harassment, violence, discrimination, and consider whether they need to include the reporting mechanisms that we discussed, investigation obligations and procedures, whether it's a requirement or a best practice in your jurisdiction, including who's going to investigate, what will be investigated, and the fact that employees are obligated to participate in the process. Additionally, employers are going to want to consider whether they need to create or revise policies with regards to respect in the workplace or codes of conduct, and progressive discipline policies that are going to outline consequences for misconduct, as well as whether conduct is something that needs to be addressed in their return to work plan, which is something that Laura is going to discuss in the next segment. Policies are also where employees may want to communicate certain expectations and requirements for customers, but in doing so, as Joel mentioned, you're going to want to keep in mind that you have obligations in terms of human rights related to service provision. So if you're instituting conduct requirements, you're going to want to make sure that you're not targeting any specific group so you don't open yourself up to discrimination claims. And again, employers are going to want to consider communicating any sort of mechanism for reporting incidents and complaints, and perhaps whether they need or would benefit from having a third party take complaints on an anonymous basis. And finally, what's going to be key for employers in terms of communicating these expectations, obligation, and requirements is to do a variety of training. You're going to want to train on the policies that you've created and revised. You're going to want to conduct workplace-wide training, statutorily required training, and perhaps respect in the workplace training as you bring employees back to work. Additionally, you're going to want to have specific training for managers, because managers are going to have to answer questions and address situations as your frontline response, and they are under significant stress as well now due to the kinds of conduct issues that have been arising in the workplace that they need to address. And as we talked about, managers may have their own specific obligations under various statutes that they're going to need to know about. Additional training is going to be training for boards for those organizations that have boards, because often what we found in our practice is that boards can sometimes lack understanding of legal requirements and workplace and employee issues related to these sorts of conduct concerns and their responsibility to address these issues. So this is something that employers are going to want to make sure is in place as they restore their workplace. And finally, training for those individuals in your workplace who are going to be conducting internal investigations, both on investigation measures broadly and what's going to be new and different with regards to the pandemic and investigating remotely.